favorite and popular videos that I have done to date has been the Fantasia bracelet and necklace set. And so I knew that Mother's Day is coming up here pretty soon, and a bunch of us are going to be looking for ways to make really cool and personalized jewelry for our mothers. And so I decided to take Fantasia and teach you how you can take each one of the crystal blocks in it and make it a different color. Because you know how birthdays, we have these birthstones and they're gemstones of various colors. Well, Swarovski has crystals that can step in for some of these gemstone colors. So for instance, I'm a January birthday, and so my birthstone is garnet. Well, we use a Swarovski garnet crystal, or more commonly a ruby crystal, to actually simulate that birthstone. So you can make a bracelet using the birthstones of all of the kids, the mom, the dad, whatever, and I will show you how you can make those color patterns happen in this bracelet. I also made one other change to the bracelet itself. Instead of using fire polish on the outside edge, I used pearls, because I think that I tend to think of pearls and mothers together. It gave you another look and another option for you in this bracelet. I have on my website a download that will show you what the crystal color goes with what month, and so that is a free PDF download. The instructions for this will also be a free PDF download on my website. It may look a little strange because you have to add it to your cart and actually go through the checkout process to get the PDF download email, but the price is $0. So while you are going through the checkout price, there's no cost to it to get those PDF downloads. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. This is the actual bracelet itself. And you can see that where these X's come together, I've done 3 different colors here. In this particular case, I did not use birthstone colors necessarily. I just was playing with an ombre effect. So I went from a capri blue to an aqua to a crystal AB, and then kept doing that. So this is also something in addition to Mother's Day. For instance, if you've got team colors for either your local, high school or whatever, or say you happen to be a Packers fan, go Packers, you could do, a green and gold version of this bracelet. I know I've got a bunch of Wisconsin people following me. So the trick is learning how to make these color clusters happen, because you think it would be really easy, but the truth of the matter is, when you're making this, what you're picking up, let me kind of isolate this, what you're picking up is this. So you're picking up half of one color and half of the other. So it's learning to recognize and remember that you're picking up half of one color and half of the other that makes the big difference in this particular piece. So let's get started making a little bracelet, and then I can explain this even better. So here I've gone ahead and attached a stopper bead. So this is just, I used one of the pearls because we're not going to use the pearls until the last pass on this. So I know that I won't weave it in now. And what I'm going to do to start out with is I'm going to pick up a seed bead and one color crystal, and a seed bead and that same color crystal, and then a seed bead and the next color, and a seed bead and the next color. And since I started out with a seed bead here, I just want to make sure I've got 4 seed beads and 4 crystals. We're going to bring those down to that stopper bead, and then we're going to pass through all of those beads again, starting at the tail end. And you'll have to probably do multiple passes to get through all of these, which is totally normal. And then what you need to do is go at least 1 bead past your tail. And what we really want to do is keep going around so that you're coming out the seed bead between the color crystal that you want to start out. So this will be one end of my bracelet. I'm going to now make this dark color emerald be the other half of this X right here. So now we're ready to add the next set. So we've already got the seed bead right here. This is going to be shared between this unit and the next unit over. So we're only going to pick up 3 seed beads this time with our 4 crystals, because we've already got 1 seed bead right there. So I'm going to start out by picking out the color that I'm right next to and a seed bead. And then I'm going to switch over to the next color in the sequence, which will be the medium green, or the light green, and a seed bead, and a light green, and a seed bead. And then I will finish by picking up that dark color again that's going to sit next to. So here's our repeat. You're starting and ending with the same color that's right there, and then the next color in the sequence is going to be in the middle. And we're going to pass through that same seed bead you were coming out of. We're going in a circle around it. And there you go. Now it's lined up. So when you pull this, you'll get, you want to just kind of visually make sure that that matches up, that you didn't accidentally put one of these crystals in this spot or something, you know, so just visually take a look at that. And then we're just going to keep going around the top edge of this until we come out that seed bead in the middle on this side again. Now if you have a loose tension person like me, you might even want to go all the way around these crystals and then through this half again to get over here if you need to tighten it up a little bit. That's up to you. You'll just kind of have to feel that out for yourself. The other thing that I do is I flip this back and forth so I can get the angles on the beads, because you know it would be really awkward for me to try right here to try to get in this angle. So I'm going to flip this over. There we go. So now my thread is coming out on my right hand side because I'm a righty, so that I can get around and through those beads in the way I need to. So we'll pass through the crystal and the seed bead and the crystal and the seed bead. There we go. So now I'm coming out that center seed bead in between the two crystals of that next color. So the same thing here again. I'm going to start out by picking up the crystal that I'm for the segment that I'm right there, and a seed bead. And then I'm going to pick up a crystal of the next color, which is going to be, in this case it's crystal AB2X, and a seed bead. And a crystal AB2X, and a seed bead. And then I'm going to be back to this light colored green for that one. And then back through the seed bead. And there we go. Now, interestingly enough, I'm not sure if this is showing on camera, when I have these laid out on the mat here, you can really tell a difference between these two color beads, right? But it's much more subtle here in the actual piece. Once we keep going, I think you're going to be able to see the difference, but the light green and the crystal AB2X, these are pretty close, similar colors, and so that's a little hard to see. So now I'm just going to come back out to this outside edge again. We'll do one more segment so we can finish all three colors here. Now I'm using 3 colors. You don't have to. You could use 2 colors. You could use 5 colors. As long as you've got them laid out in an order, you can keep going along that same order. Something else you could do, and which I thought would be very cool, let me pull in this to show you. Say there are 4 of you. Maybe it's you and your brother and your mom and your dad in your family. You could center those 4 birthstones right in the center, and then maybe do crystal on the outside edges here, on all crystal, so that that really pops right there in the center. I thought that might be very cool. Okay, so here I am doing the next color segment, coming out that center seed bead. So I'm picking up the crystal and a seed bead. Now the next one in the segment is going to be, I'm going to go back to the dark green. So, oops, my seed bead popped off. Let's get him back on there. A dark green and a seed bead and a dark green and a seed bead, and then finish it off with that crystal. Back through there, like so. And now there's a full segment of these 3 colors together. So what you're going to do is you're going to go back and you're going to keep making this to the length that you desire. Now if you've got one of my kits, the clasp that is included in the kit is going to use up about 1.25 inches of length. And so you want to take that into account when you are making your bracelet. So you want to make this part 1.25 inches shorter than you want your finished measurement to be. So in this case, this particular piece that I have partially done here is running right about 6 inches. So by the time I add the clasp, this is going to be a 7¼ inch bracelet. So if that helps you. Okay, so go ahead and do your repeats all the way along. When we come back, I'll show you the next step on the bracelet, which is going to be adding little picots along the edges. Okay, so now you've got your length established, and now we're going to go back through on the sides and add little picots of only seed beads. So let me kind of show you. I'm going to show you here on the bracelet. Right in here is what I'm talking about. We've got this little set of 4 seed beads right in between where we're going to add the pearls. So what this does is it helps stabilize the bracelet, and it also gives us a place to attach our pearls on the next round. So we're going to add those picots as we go back and forth this time. So here I am. What I did is I finished this little Barbie bracelet up so that it matches on both sides, just because I'm silly like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working forward so that I'm coming out that seed bead that's between the segments. So here's one color block, and here's what would be another color block. It's that seed bead that's between the color block. It's not the one that's down inside the color block. It's between, and it's more on the outside edge. So I will just pass through the crystal and the seed bead. There we go. And now we're going to pick up 3 seed beads, and then we're just going to pass through that same seed bead again. So you're going in a circle around it. And when you pull, it creates this nice little, this is a right angle weave unit that you just created right here. So you've got a top and a bottom, a left side and a right side. So that's what we're doing. In this particular case, I'm calling it a picot, but it really is a right angle weave unit that you're doing right there. I attached it by going through the next crystal. We're going to get to the next seed bead. So we'll have to pass through 2 crystals and a seed bead here to get to the next area that we're going to add a picot. Oops. And don't loop it around your bracelet because you'll be sad. Okay, so here we go. We're adding 3 more seed beads, passing through the seed bead that you're coming out of. You can, if you're lived a good and pure life, you can pass through all of this. So I passed through that seed bead, through the 2 crystals, and through the seed bead that I'm going to go through the next, for the next one. And there's that picot. And now I'm already in position now to add the next set of seed beads. So picking up 3, going back through that same seed bead you're coming out of, through the 2 crystals, and through the next seed bead. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way down your bracelet. When you get down to your end, you're just going to come right around that corner. We're going to ignore that seed bead that's on the very tip of the end there. So we're ignoring this guy. We're just going to pass through it. We're going to come back so that we're coming out of the same seed bead on the other side and do all of your picots down the other side too. So this is a simple and fast one. Just add those seed bead picots all the way down one side, turn around, add them all the way down the opposite side. When we come back, then we get to add the pearl in. We've got one step left now before we add the clasp. That'll be the last thing that we do. And it's adding these pearls along the outside edge. Now I used pearls because I just thought it was an interesting contrast to all the crystals. I thought it was really pretty. Just because I use pearls in that spot does not mean that you have to. Actually, same thing goes with the crystals. You could actually use fire polish beads instead of those crystals, just so you know. Rounded beads you could probably use too. It's going to have a slightly different shape to it if you use round beads there instead of the crystals, just so you know. On this outside edge, what you want to make sure that you do is use a bead that is the same, roughly the same size. So I'm using 4mm round pearls. You could use a 4mm fire polish bead. You could use a 4mm, I haven't done it, I have not tried it with a crystal, a bicone crystal. I'm sure you could use a bicone crystal in there. I'm just looking to make sure that there's no reason why you couldn't use a bicone crystal in there. There would be enough room. I wanted to make sure that there was enough room for that pointed part of the girdle there for it to sit in there, and there is. So you can play with this outside piece. Like I said, I just really loved the pearls on this outside edge. So let me show you how we're going to add those in. Here I have added all the picots in. Now that we're starting to kind of establish more of the bracelet, you can see a little bit more of that transition here between the colors. Again, because I was not necessarily myself making birthday bracelets, I'm sorry, Mother's Day bracelets or birthday, whatever, I was just going with ombre colors, and you can see that ombre a little bit better now. So here I am, I've got the picots on both sides, and I'm coming back around to this side. And what we're going to do here is you're going to pass through that seed bead between the crystals. We're just getting in the right location to add the next set of beads. And then we're going to pass up this bead that is sitting right next, the next bead in that round of 4 there. So we're going to be coming out the top of that bead. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from the top of this one that's sticking out on the side, and then we're going to go in the one that's sticking out on the side on the other picot. So we're going from side to side, not from tip to tip, which is what I have you do in the regular Fantasia bracelet. We work your thread so it's coming out this tip bead, and then we go from tip to tip. Instead, we're going to go from side to side. What that does, the difference that makes, is it just gives you this kind of interesting little bead that pops up here. Because if we went from here to here, we would lose that definition of just that little bead popping up. And I like the kind of accent that adds in between the pearls. And so that's why I have changed the thread path right there. I know, I'm a details girl. What can I say? Oops, I'm getting all my threads combined here. Okay, so here we are. We're coming out the top of this side bead. We're picking up a size 15, a pearl, and a size 15. You have to go down to a size 15 here for spacing issues. I tried it with the 11s, and what happens is the bracelet starts waving too much if you do that. So since we're coming out of the top one here, we're going to go in the top on the opposite side of that bead that's sitting out to the side there, and there we go. Then you're just going to come down across the seed bead between the crystals to get in place to add the next one, and then up this next one on the side, and we're going to repeat that all the way down. So it's a 15, a pearl, and a 15. And down the side bead on the next picot. And I tell you what, I'm going to get in position to add the next one, and we're going to throw a 4mm bicone crystal in there and just see what it looks like. Because I haven't done that yet except in my mind. So let's see what it looks like. So I'm still, because the sizing is the same, I'm still picking up a 15, and let's throw the dark crystal in here just for an accent. And then another 15. And then I'm still going to attach it through the sticky outie on the side over there. Yeah, see how pretty that is. So that bicone crystal works perfectly in there. So you could use the pearl or a crystal. So that's gorgeous. So you'll continue doing that all the way down. Again, turn around, come back, and do it all the way across the other side. And then when we come back, I'll show you how we're going to add the clasp. Easy schmeezy. Isn't this a fun, fast, easy bracelet to do? I love the bracelets where you do passes back and forth because it's really interesting to watch it morph and grow. But then again, I'm easily entertained. So there you go. Okay, so let's take a look at the bracelet here. And here I have my piece that is all finished except for the clasp. I have worked my thread so that it is coming out that tip seed bead on the very end here, and this is how we're going to add the clasp. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads. These are the size 11s. I'm going to pick up another crystal. You can use the crystal, you can use the pearl, just some kind of decorative accent bead. And then I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads. At that point, I'm going to then pass my needle and thread through the end of the clasp. Now some of these ends, the seed beads will move freely through that hole. On this one it won't, so I'm going to pick up half on one side and then half on the other. Yeah, this one has a fairly small hole too, so the seed beads are probably not going to move freely through there. I just have gotten in the habit of picking up half on one side and half on the other. So now I'll pick up the 2 more seed beads. I'm going to pass back through that crystal that we added in there, and then 2 more seed beads. So I'm just mirroring what I picked up to begin with, and now I'm going to pass back through the seed bead that I was originally coming out of, just in the opposite side here. There we go. And then my rule of thumb with a clasp is I want to reinforce any clasp attachment at least 2 times. I want 3 passes of thread through there, because this is your point of most wear and tear on a bracelet. So if anything's going to break, it's going to be the clasp, usually first. So we'll just go back and reinforce all of this, and that just means passing through those beads with your needle and thread. And there we go, we got through that half. And I actually even managed to get through the loop of the clasp, and now I'll come back down the other side, like so. So that's 1 passive reinforcement, and then come through that one that's where it's attached to the bracelet, and then I would do that 1 more time. At that point, you can end off your thread. After you've reinforce this 1 more time, you can end off your thread. Now let me show you about adding and ending thread in this. This piece, you probably want to go ahead and tie some knots while you're doing this. And what I like to do, hopefully you're going to use a length of thread that's long enough that you'll be able to do the entire bracelet without having to add thread midway through. But if you do have to add thread midway through, the best place to tie these knots is going to be right in this area, right in the center of these clusters. And the reason is we don't ever have to go back through that area again. So if we put a knot right there and it blocks up a hole, no problem. We don't care, because we're never going to go back through there again. So what you can do is just kind of navigate your way there. Now in this case, I can actually tie my knot anywhere, because I have finished this end of the bracelet. I can tie a knot anywhere in these outside edges, and it won't matter because I don't need to go back through those beads anymore. So I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right here to demonstrate the knot. So anywhere your thread is coming out, there's going to be a little spot there where the thread is holding the beads together. And so I'm just looping my needle under those threads. I'm pulling down so that I've got a small loop of thread left, and I'm passing through that loop. It does not matter whether you go front to back or back to front. You want to make sure it's small though, because if you have a great big loop and you start tightening it down, you're more likely to have it knot, way out here, and then you have a problem. You have to kind of pick that knot out. So a small loop is one way to keep that from happening, and the other way to keep that from happening is tightening nice and slow. It lets you control what's going on much better instead of just yanking on it, because that's more likely to give you a premature knot also. So my rule of thumb with knots is that I like to have 2 to 3 knots tied. So here I'm going to come a couple of beads away. I can come to this outside edge so that I can get a good angle on this, make it nice and easy for myself. There we go. I tie another knot right here, maybe move forward, tie 1 more knot, and then move a couple of beads away, and then I'm ready to clip this thread off. In the written instructions, it tells you how much thread that you need to be able to do the whole piece with 1 length of thread, and it'll also tell you to leave a longer than usual tail so that you can use this tail thread to add the second half of your clasp without having to add any new thread in it, okay? So I would just attach a needle here, do this end of the clasp exactly the same way, and then end it off. If you don't have any thread left here, that's okay. Just add new thread. We're going to add it the same way that we end off thread. You're just going to start it over here and work your way this way at doing your knots so that you can get to where you need to start adding beads. And that's it. And hopefully your mother or grandmother or aunt or whoever you're going to make this bracelet for is really going to love it. And like I said, don't forget that this is great for team colors, because football season, basketball season, I know all of us are big, not all of us, but some of us are big sports fanatics and want team colors too. So I hope you enjoy this. I really enjoyed playing with the color combinations, and I have kits available in some of these ombre color ways. I've got all of the crystals that you need in those gemstone / birthstone colors available at my website at jillwisemandesigns.com. And then don't forget that I do have that free PDF download for you, so that you can have all the written instructions in addition to the video. I hope that helps you, and happy Mother's Day.